Mario Bros. Single-handedly saved the video game industry in the 80s. According to me. The game involved a red-hatted plumber running from left to right, jumping on anything that moves, eating mushrooms, hitting his head on blocks, going through pipes, and saving the princess, all before spaghetti time! 6:30, I told you, Mario! 40.21 million copies sold, instant classic. The game was insanely popular and bound to have many sequels. Which it did. One of them being Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, pretty much expanding the entire game with better graphics, more unique levels and ways of playing, yo Shurino, and other stuff I'll be talking about later. Then about 6 years later, Super Mario 64 hit the scene, the first ever 3D Mario game. Whoa, future! Along with the PlayStation 1, the Nintendo 64 was taking its first leap into the revolutionary world of 3D gaming. It was make or break time. Either these beloved games were going to adapt, evolve, and succeed like The Legend of Zelda, or they were going to flop like Castlevania. Mario, of course, did great. So yeah, Super Mario World and Super Mario 64 were both insanely successful and beloved games by many. What a shocker. But as the years have gone by and games getting more and more advancified, that's not a word, people have become much more cynical, saying that these games from our youth were only fun because of nostalgia. And derp, I'm a stupid YouTuber reviewer who has to overanalyze everything and ruin the fun. So allow me to overanalyze these two games and ruin the fun. Number 1, the world itself. With every Mario title that gets released, Nintendo always wants to raise the bar and expand the Mario universe. Or galaxy, whatever, I tried to make a joke. Super Mario World did this by adding a world map, one that you would explore and feel like you were going on an actual adventure with Mario, feeling like a true world. The map would show an area with a bunch of trees. I wonder if... Yup, this is a forest, alright. This area looks like we're underground. Do you think the stages will be A, underground, B, in the sky, C, underwater, or D, muffins? If you answered A, underground, then congratulations! We also would have accepted answer D because I love muffins. The entire game just felt like a real adventure, traveling from unique area to area like an everyday Indiana Jones. So how did Super Mario 64 follow up on this? Well, not that great in my opinion. In terms of the actual world itself, all we really have is Peach's castle, acting as the hub for this game containing paintings that Mario would jump into, and all of a sudden be exploring a world, you demon paintings! All of the stages just feel really arbitrary compared to the previous two installments. There really isn't that sense of intrigue and exploration like in past Mario games. It's just, go to the room next door and jump into the snowman painting. Congratulations, you did it! You're in the snow world! Do the mission, hop on out of there, walk down the hallway, up these stairs, and ooh, now we're in the sky with a floating carpet. Things just kind of happen in this game. Where does this stage land geographically to Bob-omb Battlefield? Granted, the stages themselves are very beautiful and enjoyable, but traveling to new locations and new worlds is supposed to feel rewarding. It's kind of like if you were playing Ocarina of Time and you wanted to go to the Fire Temple. You had to go back to Link's house and jump into a painting, and all of a sudden, there you are! Did you have fun with your adventure? In Super Mario 64, going from an outdoorsy world to a haunted house to a fire pit just feels bleh. I'm walking through a castle hallway to reach another hallway with a room. You're not on an adventure anymore. You're on a house tour. And we all know how terrible those are. Number 2, Power-Ups! Now, power-ups in a Mario game are kind of essential. It's what sets apart each game from the last and helps break the repetitive nature Mario games can sometimes be known to have. The power-ups help give each Mario game its identity. What would Super Mario Sunshine be without the flood? What would Super Mario Odyssey be without Cappy? What would Super Mario 3D World be without the Cat Bell? Probably the same game, to be honest. But still, power-ups equals good. Super Mario World added... not that much, to be honest. We have the mushroom, fire flower, power star, nothing too groundbreaking. One of the few new power-ups is the feather that magically turns into a cape. Building up enough momentum will allow Mario to run and fly through the air. There was a similar power-up in Mario Bros. 3 in the raccoon tail, but the feather was cooler! It would allow Mario to fly through the air and find secrets, sometimes secret exits that were essential if you wanted to 100% the game. It added a fun new layer to the Mario series, as well as showing showing off the capability of the Super Nintendo, being like, hey, you see this? Isn't it cool? Yeah, kinda. But the most significant power-up was Yoshi, a character that would later become a staple and a beloved fan favorite in the Mario series. He would pop up in the most random locations, but that's what made Yoshi so great, being able to eat enemies and turn turtle shells into mysterious dragon-like power-ups. But he was mainly a companion that the player could connect with, constantly thinking, oh my gosh, you're so cute and I must protect you. I'll make sure you stay safe, even if it costs me my life. Never mind, bye! Although, he wasn't in many stages as he should have been, to be honest. But hold on now, what about Super Mario 64? Some of you may be saying, hold on you stupid waffle kid, Mario 64 had all kinds of brand new power-ups! And to that I'll say, harsh. And secondly, you're right, Mario 64 added all kinds of new power-ups that would not only show off the capability of the N64, but again, add a new layer of depth to the Mario gameplay. But power-ups in this game just felt like more of a chore than a fun extra feature. I'm playing as Metal Mario right now, not because I want to, but because if I want to progress in the game, I sorta have to. If I want to get this star, I have to use the wing cap. Sure, in Mario World, if you wanted to get the secret exits, you'd have to use certain power-ups, but that wasn't their only function. It was an extra. In Super Mario 64, you get a power-up and oops, you hear that catchy jingle? Well, don't enjoy it too much, because once that song ends, you're back to playing as boring old Mario. I get that power-ups in this game were meant to be used as a challenge mechanic, having only a minute or so to complete your objective, forcing you to get good. But only for that particular mission. This is kind of the equivalent like if in Super Mario Sunshine, the flood was only temporary, popping up on a few stages and a few boss battles, and then just disappearing entirely. The game forces you to be proficient with the wing cap if you want to collect all the stars, but the game never gives you enough challenges or even fooling around time with it for you to be even remotely good at controlling it. It shows up in the first world, but like, only for one mission. Okay, cool, thanks, great, appreciate it. But when all of a sudden a few hours later when you're asking me to Superman 64 this level, it becomes more frustrating than anything since I haven't been able to really experiment with it. In Super Mario World, all these new power-ups sure do have some levels based around them specifically, but they aren't the driving force to completing the stage. Yes, it's fun to fly around and collect all these coins, as well as just go whoop whoop. And if I'm good enough at the game and don't get hit by the end, my reward is to carry it on to the next stage and have it be an asset. It's an extra hit if I mess up. It's an extra line of offense that may make the stage go by easier. Getting a power-up in Super Mario World feels like, yeah, awesome! While in Mario 64, getting a power-up makes you go, oh god, what chore are you asking me to do now? And that's not a good feeling to have. Last but not least, number 3, controls! And gameplay, kind of. Now there are just some things in games that honestly don't matter that much to me. Graphics, for example, is one of them. I'm not picky on that stuff. Super Mario World is absolutely gorgeous, even for today's standards, and while Mario 64 is definitely outdated in some ways in its aesthetic, it still looks fine to me. Controls, however, are kind of important, considering these are games we play, and Mario 64 plays like buttocks! Big bouncy buttocks. 3D gaming was a completely new concept at the time, and for the most part, I think Mario 64 handled it well. But when it doesn't handle well, good god, is it the most frustrating feeling ever! Mario has always been built on the concept of memorizing the stage, memorizing the enemy patterns, and acting accordingly. It's a game built around reflex and timing. In Mario World, if you hit the button at the right time, great job, you're rewarded. In Mario 64, you're constantly battling the controls, the camera, the controls again, the difficulty of figuring out where you are spatially and if your next move will be too much or too little. And did I mention the controls? Mario just feels really stiff and awkward. It's not too noticeable in wide open areas like Bob-omb Battlefield, but anytime you're in a Bowser dungeon where all of a sudden your every move has to be precise, is when it really shows. The stages are all built like every other Mario game, having you rely on your timing and reflexes, but Mario 64 adds in a third challenge that the game didn't account for: the game itself. Now, with all of that being said, Do I think that Mario 64 is a bad game? No, absolutely not. I could put on this game any day of the year and still have a fantastic time. Both of these games have strengths and weaknesses of their own. Mario World isn't perfect, even though I may have painted that picture, but it's honestly not. The music is pretty repetitive. There's only a handful of musical tracks for every stage, while in Mario 64, every world has its unique and very memorable sound to them. A lot of the stages in Mario World are also fairly forgettable to me. Only the first few truly stand out in my mind when I think of Super Mario World. Everything up until Donut Plains 2. However, when I think of Mario 64, I get images of Bob-omb Battlefield, the sunken ship, the penguin family sitting in that pond while I murder their child, that lava stage with lots of mechanisms. I can get an image of every single level in this game, as well as its entire layout. I can also play Mario 64 for a longer time. Both of these games have strengths and weaknesses. But since I decided to make a video comparing two sequels in a series of games and talking about what I personally prefer in a Mario game, Mario World was victorious, but only in my personal opinion. Mario is so huge and successful due to both of these games, as well as every other game in the series. They're both very important because there are people that absolutely love them. Sometimes one over the other. So don't take anything I say as matter of fact, cause it's not. I don't know anything.